Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is the Community Pod, and I am your host, Lester Class. Each and every episode is going to be filled with amazing stories from amazing people. You will hear the different journeys people went through, or are still going through, to be able to do what they love. From the failures to the successes and everything in between. This is a place to get to know the person behind their passion, because people only get to see the successes and not what it took to get there. If this is your first time tuning in, please subscribe and leave a review if you love the content. Now finally, I would love to welcome you to the Community Pod. What's going on, everyone? This is the Community Pod. I'm your host, Lester Class. I want to say again, thank you for coming for another episode. It means the world to me. I got an amazing guest in the building. I got Jon Crawford in the building. What's going on?
What's up with you? How you doing, bro?
I appreciate you for being here.
Appreciate you having me here.
Of course. I couldn't do it. It's my pleasure, bro. So we could just start off with going over, so where you from?
So I'm from the South Jersey area. Really all over. Lived in Camden, Sicklerville, Bridgeton, Millville, those types of areas. So really from all over South Jersey. Got you.
So what was life like growing up for Jon Crawford?
Very eclectic, I would say. I moved a lot. Just due to my childhood and stuff like that. I went to about 10 schools in 12 years. I ended up playing high school football. I got 3 state football championships. I played with Corey Clement and Juwan Johnson. Corey, who was on the Arizona Cardinals, and Juwan Johnson, who was on the Saints.
Gotcha.
And, from there, I went to college. But, it was just an eclectic upbringing. I got a little taste of everything.
Gotcha.
Every different culture.
So from the experience of you mentioned early on in that answer that you moved around a lot.
Yeah.
What is life like at such a young age, moving around so much?
As a kid, you obviously want to keep your friend group the same. Still go to the same school. As a kid, you don't like change, but for me, it's helped me just build my interpersonal skills.
Okay.
And learning how to really just work a room and just be camouflage with the room and adapt to many different situations and different types of personalities.
Got you. Do you feel like sometimes in situations like that, it can get really distracting? I don't in a way that that it's like you are constantly having to learn and, like you said, adapt to a new environment.
Yeah. I wouldn't say so much distraction, but I would say stability-wise, it's not the best. So,
okay.
People who have moved around can definitely relate.
Got you.
Yeah.
And what advice would you give to somebody who is currently still moving around and still trying to understand why, or maybe understand, or just having to understand?
Just know that one day it will be in your control. Obviously when you're younger, you have people and restrictions telling you what to do, where to go, and, eventually nobody can do that, you know what I mean? So just look towards the future and kind of just wait and hold it out to make sure that, when you do and are able to have a say in, where you lay your head and, the way your life looks, just be ready to take hold of that reign, because, being alone in the world is really just a scary thing, especially now. So just be ready to, rock and roll when it's your time.
Gotcha. So, for the people that don't know, Jon Crawford is a very versatile artist. I personally listened to a few of his projects, and he's also got a lot of things going on. And it's a great thing to hear from an artist the success and those moments of being able to look back and look into the past and be able to say that I've been able to do things that my younger self may have never thought I'd be able to do.
Definitely.
So, congratulations to that. Very early.
Thank you, bro.
Of course.
I don't take that very lightly. I thank you.
Appreciate you. You also have something going platinum. You also have, I believe it was a record going platinum. We spoke a little bit off camera. That's the only reason why I know everyone. But I just, like I said, I don't usually do early congratulations, but early congratulations.
Appreciate you, bro.
So to just talk about being an artist, where is it that you found your passion for music?
Really just started in the basement. Freestyle ciphers. At the time, hip hop culture was Joel Santana, Lil Wayne, the regular 2000s clubs hits. And in that mix, I just found a passion for it. And I liked what was going on. So lo and behold, I did my research. on, the history of hip hop, how things began, and I started to find my favorite MCs, and from there, I just started to hone in on my craft, my voice, crowd control, those types of things, and then obviously the business side of it.
Got
So
you.
from there, I just fell in love with the process of it all.
Got you. So, like, was there ever a point where music was like kind of well, let me restate that question. Was music always the route that you believed that you were gonna go on?
I mean, no, I always had a passion for music,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately I thought it was going to be sports just because, I played sports for a very long time. I ended up being good enough to get a few scholarships, but ultimately, my love for music just kind of took over. So I didn't believe growing up that, music was going to be number one. I wanted it to be a part of my life, but I didn't know what it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
But the more I practiced and started getting more serious about like my writing ability and just rhyming in general, the more I started to see myself. I was like, oh, like I could really do this and become a star.
Got you.
Probably in my like early teen years.
Got it. So that's when you decided that you were gonna take music seriously?
Yeah, that's when I first like really started recording, like 11, 12.
11, 12 years old?
Yeah, like in
Nice.
full-blown studios and learning the process of recording and then just doing the work on my own. You know what I
Got
mean?
you. So what is it like, especially being such a young individual at 11, 12 years old, kind of knowing or kind of finding that love and passion, deciding to take it seriously? What is that like? I feel like it can sometimes be a little scary.
I mean, I was just doing it, for more so the experience to gain the knowledge to
Mhm.
know what I needed to do when I got to the point that I wanted to get to. But yeah, so I wouldn't say like it was like too heavy or dawned on me too much. It was just one of those things where it was like I like music. I want to make music. This is how you make music. You go to the studio. I'm paying like $200 at the time for like 5 hours. I was staying there. I would record little freestyles I wrote, things of that nature, and then eventually I graduated to recording myself, or having my friends record me off like Mac laptops and stuff, things of that nature. So, that's just what the process looked like. Graduated, but that's what it was initially around that age.
Got you. The only reason I'm sorry if I need some water, but the reason I say that it may have been a little scary was the only reason I said that was because of the fact that I feel like at a young age it is very difficult to especially pursue something, especially when that is such an age where you become very influenced by a lot of things,
Yeah,
and a lot of other people's opinions matter, sometimes even more than your own.
definitely.
So that was the only reason I said it was scary. Do you feel like that was definitely a factor when you did start making music? Other people's opinions or the influence you had?
I mean, initially, when you start doing music, I feel like you just want to be accepted right away by like your homeboys and like your hometown, and you look for validation from those who you may think are nice, like locally or things of that such. But I wouldn't say, that was like my main. That was like my main influence. I just felt like that was just I had a passion for writing, like poetry and just rhyming and stuff. So, naturally that's just what came next.
Got you. And do you feel like poetry and music definitely collide?
Yeah, I spoke about this on another podcast, but basically, writing poetry so young and just like learning like sonnets and how to rhyme and X, Y, and Z so young, it allowed me to be more passionate as an artist because I was saying the same thing. Like, you can't be hard doing poetry. You know what I mean? You got to really use your vernacular and your vocabulary. So it opened up a door for me where I was able to talk passionately at length about things that may have been going on or things of that such.
Got it. So to fast forward a little bit, when was it that it was like it's go time, where it was just like music all day?
So if you listen to Circle of Life, River Road, basically I tell the story of like how I got to college. Like I applied like a week before the deadline to Montclair State University. Never been to the school a day in my life. I'm just a kid you know, coming out of foster care from South Jersey. And, you know, I got in on a full scholarship. And from there, because I needed to get it close to the city. So I kind of took like the J. Cole route because I knew that's where shit was booming at. And I'm like, nobody has like the sole identity of New Jersey. So I was like, in order for me to really accomplish what I want to accomplish, I have to then go make a fan base in the Northeast, like, you know what I mean, Philly, North Jersey, New York, those types of things. So when I got to college, probably like after like my freshman year, after like I had like adjusted to everything and like classes and all that extra stuff, I then found time to like really record myself, know how I wanted to convey my message, who I wanted to be as an artist, what I wanted my trajectory to look like, what I wanted my growth and sound to look like. So when I got to college that sophomore year, I put out a university EP, and it was basically just talking about the struggles of like, you know, just like a college kid, a young black college kid, you know, not having nothing, really just coming there to a privileged, you know, university and really just trying to have to figure it out. But that's where it started, like my sophomore year.
Got
with
it.
that project.
And I know that in the beginning of what you said was that you were just a young kid coming from foster care, right?
Yeah.
And I just have to say that I don't know if you've ever looked at it like this, but we spoke off camera, right? And you've had a lot of things that happen in your life from the traveling and working.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit here and say that you've traveled the world just because you traveled the world. You traveled the world working.
Yeah.
Working your ass off, being able to do what you're doing.
Hell yeah.
So I feel like it's just so motivating, especially from for individuals who may be in the foster care system or even in a situation where they feel alone as a child.
Definitely.
It's very motivating for other individuals that have gone through something like that.
Definitely.
Or maybe even going through something like that. What advice or what words can you give to an individual who may be in foster care or even just struggling as a child?
Well, they say like 60 to 75% of the population is homeless. That is homeless is from foster care. So me personally, it's just like like for me to tell somebody something, like you really just got to keep going. Your survival instincts got to just be on T. Like you got to keep going, because the moment you give up, then everything that you went for is all for nothing. So just keep going. And you know, I feel like that's what a lot of people's perspective would be as well. You just, because in that situation, it's almost like life or death. So you got to keep going. Just don't ever stop, because first off, you got people who are happy to see you in that position, and you got people who never believed that you would exceed those expectations of beating the system and the statistics of being, you know, a martyr in, you know, the hood or the system. So, you know, just don't stop. Just keep going.
And I think that's one I got to say, because I don't want to get too into it.
Of course.
But I want to say, just to go off of what you've said,
Yeah.
it is beautiful that you have been able to be a symbol of an individual who's been able to surpass what individuals may have thought about you, or things that they believe that you may not been ever able to do.
Yeah.
But you've been able to work. You've also mentioned that you've worked in Germany with an individual.
Yeah.
You've been able to work with individuals all over New Jersey.
Yeah.
You've also been able to be one of 3 artists that were put on on a Philly radio station.
Yeah, definitely.
You've done things that many individuals may have never thought you could be able to do, but you did it. So that's just motivation in itself for anybody that's going through a situation where they may be alone or they feel alone. It's never going to be that forever.
Oh, of course. That's why I said, like, one day you will have control of your circumstances, but it's all about how you prepare yourself for that moment. You know, preparation, the right moment, you golden, you know what I mean? You don't got to worry about what that next move looks like, because you've been putting the time in and preparing for it. So, you know, just stay on your toes and just make sure that you have an actionable plan. Like, make sure that the plan that you set or the vision that you have for your life, there are action-oriented steps, you know, because, you know, you got to break down a goal into small, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you want to save $25,000, you know, you got to have this each month. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just be action-oriented, you know what I mean? Make sure that when, you know, you do get control of your circumstances and it's your time to rock and it's your time to roll, just make sure you have a plan and make sure that, you know, you put in the time and work in necessary. Exactly.
And I feel like when you speak about preparation, right, I feel like that is so important. And I also have to say that you have I can only speak from the outside looking in, right?
Yeah.
I feel like like individuals like yourself have way more motivation to do so well for themselves because individuals who may have it really well
Yeah.
don't have an idea of where am I going, what's my future gonna look like.
The willpower to manifest their destiny
Exactly.
or what they want for themselves. Yeah, definitely.
And I believe that you had a different type of motivation than a lot of people grow up with, because that goes back to 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, definitely.
You were
yeah.
11, 12 years old. Don't know. I'm not. Whenever you got out the foster
Yeah.
system, whatever it is, the fact is that at 11, 12 years old, you had the motivation to be like, this is what I want to do.
No, facts.
And that is super motivating to anybody that listen to this. I feel like what anybody, we just started this conversation. We just started this podcast. What anybody should get out of this is the fact that it's never going to be like that forever.
Oh, never.
You have to work towards something, and when you work towards something, you can get it.
100%.
So there's a
100%.
bunch of congratulations I could give you to this entire podcast, but we're gonna sit here and
Appreciate you.
congratulate you this whole time. I'm
Nah,
not gonna toot your horn this whole time.
I appreciate you, my bro. Like, you feel me? Nah, but definitely.
And it's a beautiful thing, bro, to be able to go ahead and be able to put on and be able to show what I guess even like the product of your environment can actually bring you.
Oh, definitely.
Because people use product of my environment sometimes negatively,
Yeah.
but sometimes you have to understand, being told that you what a product of the environment is. I'm a product of that environment, and I was able to surpass that environment.
Yeah,
I was able to do
definitely.
more than what you thought I could do,
Of course.
which is amazing. So, bro, congrats again.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank
To
you.
continue going on, right? When you entered the music industry and started making music and being able to take it seriously, what were some obstacles you had to face when you got into this industry?
People don't realize how expensive it is to make music a lot of times. So the first thing all artists should have is, or be looking to do, is build a team. You got to have a videographer, a film person, somebody who's constantly documenting these things. Obviously, you can't be a one-man show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And granted, like with social media, in a way, we're able to just throw up a tripod now. You are, but definitely want to have a team of people dedicated that love what they do, but are dedicated to the dream of all y'all making it work for the sole purpose of, your dream, or, but like that goes hand in hand with the product being able to sell itself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be working all these hours for something that you don't necessarily believe in. So for me personally, the first obstacle that I had to do was I had to get up there and build a team. First person on my team was my engineer, Cash. He's from Glassboro, or he's from Philly, but we met at Glassboro High School. And he always had a passion for music.
Mm-hmm.
Lo and behold, he went to Full Sail University, graduated with his engineer degree, came back, and the first record that we recorded was Anxiety off of For What It's Worth. So I met him that way, and then Jameer Green, who is like my film and videographer.
Mm-hmm.
He currently works for the NBA, but he's done amazing work throughout New Jersey with so many talented and beautiful individuals. And then also, my friend Ayo Odoselu in Texas. He's another producer that I met. Party Michael from New Jersey. Somebody else that I ended up working with on my team. And Jonathan Ramsey, my manager. So the first thing you want to do is just encompass your team. That's the first obstacle. And that I had to really like get under control, because like I said, you can't do it all by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I would say the second is making sure you put money into marketing. Making sure that you have, a website, making sure that you have your LLC in order, making sure that you have your publishing in order, making sure that, you got BMI or ASCAP holding down, all these different types of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are just base steps to make sure that, your foundation of artistry will be successful.
Exactly. So, like, when it comes to an artist building a team, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like? Why is it so important to have that team?
Just because, like I said, man, you can't do it all alone. But mainly, I would say, like, your job as the artist is to focus on the music, the product itself.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be replying to somebody who's trying to book you for X, Y, and Z a show while you're sitting in the studio trying to write a record. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it just becomes really one of those just tall tale tasks where it's just like eventually you need someone. And I always say people need people.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the community pod.
I appreciate that.
Of course,
Little
bro.
plug. But like, to just continue on, right?
Yeah.
Especially about like just music in general. Like, why? I've never really asked this question before, but
Shoot.
how do you know that you're good?
I would say it's the test of time with your music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you, me personally, I put out projects of work.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to trying to let a single go every other month or trying to put out a pack every 3, 4, 5, 6 months. I'd rather sit with life and, just dissect, what I'm going through, where I'm at, what I'm feeling, even just painting stories of very small flashes. But how do you're good? I mean, the numbers, I mean, they can lie. Numbers can lie.
Yeah.
So definitely, but I mean, I would say just the reaction you get at your shows mainly. It's because anybody could lie about their followers now. Anybody could buy streams, buy bots, do these types of things. But it's the reaction that you get at your shows mainly, and ultimately your success is really just based on what you envision for your artistry. It's not. For some people it might not be a Grammy. It might not be an ASCAP award or as a writer. So, it just depends on your success or your definition of success. If you feel like you do 10,000 streams in a week, that's successful, then cool. You just hit your goal, bro. You successful.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? First off, I forget how many songs were. It was millions of songs that were released last year with 0 plays. So if you do 10,000 in a week, you going somewhere. You got some. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's either you're able to market yourself well or the music is actually good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and being an artist go hand in hand. Being marketable and being likable and being able to bring views in,
Yep.
that matters too. So if you're able to do that, then cool, you know what I mean? But I would say your success is really just based off your definition of what you want your trajectory and artistry to look like
Gotcha.
career-wise.
So when it comes to like being an artist, what is one of your favorite aspects?
I would say production.
Production.
I like production because when you get to production, and you're making the sound for an emotion
Mm-hmm.
or a specific time in your life or a specific time that in somebody else's life, if you're telling a story of a relationship or whatever it is, that's like to me the most exciting time because it's fresh, it's new, it's a brand new slate in front of me. I get to paint on.
Yep.
So for me it would be production, and then secondly probably would be performing, just because like to see the crowd's reaction live time, seeing them sing the records along with you, and seeing all the cameras and the lights go up, it's just an unforgettable feeling that you can, you know what I mean? You just can't deny that. So
Yeah. What is that feeling like? Because I feel like some people don't understand, like I feel like there's a lot of adrenaline when you first go out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just to like look at that crowd and see everybody just sing your song.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
It's definitely an adrenaline rush because if you think about it, not everybody is able to do that. Like just go out there on the stage. A lot of people got stage fright. So, but to go out there and just to see everybody there waiting for you, to me, first off, it shows like signs of respect. You feel me?
Yeah.
People respect what you're doing. But for me, it's adrenaline rush. I get out there and I don't care if it's 5, 10, 15 motherfuckers in the crowd, 55,000. I'd have performed in front of, plenty of people, but, it really, to me, it just doesn't matter. But it's really just an adrenaline rush. You can't, It's not something you could really explain unless you've experienced that. Like, it's the most gratifying and rewarding feeling, I would say.
Gotcha. So what in life do you feel like has built you into the individual that you are today?
A combination of experiences. 1, my childhood. 2, the route that I had to take to become an artist. And 3, really just becoming a man. I know that, within hip hop, it's a lot of misogyny. It's a lot of things being said. It's a lot of different types of genres and, subgenres of hip hop. But, for me, becoming a man in general has really just been like one of the staple pieces of like being like a good artist, because you're then able to talk from like with my hands, you know what I mean? Like my hands is clean. Like I ain't got no blood on my hands. You feel me? I'm not worried about getting no blood on my hands because I do right by people in real life. You know what I mean? And as far as that, like that's what I would say.
Why is it so important to do right by people?
Just because like those weak ties and those weak connections. There's a book called Weak Ties, and basically it just talks about like those connections that you have with people, those ones that you are very brief, but they know who you are and they remember. You know what I mean? People remember. People remember who you were to them. You know what I mean? Your track record follows you everywhere. You know, your character eventually comes out. You know what I mean? And for me, I feel like somebody's word is gold until you know what I mean? If you keep showing me, you know what I mean, you crossing me, then it's no point of me really continue to water this friendship. But I feel like doing right by people keeps your name worth more than gold. And it definitely allows you to go places with safety. Knowing that, you know, you ain't out here, you ain't got to be turning your shoulder or looking over your back to see who you know what I mean, who's on your hip, just because like obviously there are envious and jealous people out there, but for the most part, you know, when you do right by people and you just are a genuine person, nobody is gonna, you know, is gonna hurt you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And just to talk about more about like your music and how you go about it.
Yeah.
I have to say that I feel like certain people would be like, he's doing something different. I feel like you tell stories through your music. I think that you allow people to feel and understand, or maybe even go through that story themselves. Because when you look at these songs, when you look at some of these things, it's telling a story through the entire thing. And I feel like you're not depicting an individual that's not you. Exactly. Yeah. I feel like everything is very, I've either been through this or I understand this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, I think that's a reason why I like Survivor's Guilt so much. We can talk about the technicality, because I fucking love the way that you're singing in it as well as rapping in it. It's beautiful. And then I just feel like the storytelling as well is amazing. You're able to talk about things that actually matter, things that people are going through. And I think that's the most important part about your music, or even what makes you stand out from everyone else, besides your voice, besides the things that you do in your songs.
Thank you.
Of course, I think that when it comes to that, why is it so important to tell a story in your songs?
I mean, it's not always necessary.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have those moments where it might be like 3 a.m. You get in from the club, you got to fire a beat. You need something to rock and roll with right then. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's a harder sound. Sometimes it's a club sound. You just never know what you're gonna get. But for me personally, I feel like we've lost, which is part of what Dead Poet Society Inc. is about, my label. Dead Poets, you feel me? That's a lost art. Writing is a lost art. Being a poet is a lost art. You know what I mean? Especially in this rap shit right now. I feel like not a lot of people are putting forth the effort to... Because back in the day, if you stole somebody's flow, you was corny. Now that's the trend.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so personally, that's what I just pride myself off of. And being able to connect with people through my vernacular as well as my emotion. You know what I mean? Because when I'm doing it, it's all genuine. You know what I mean? This is coming from a real spot, something that I really seen or something that I really been through. So I feel like it's just a lost art. So that's just why it's important.
Yeah, and then like, and to talk about trends, right?
Yeah.
Trends die quickly, right? And that's why I feel like artists definitely can stand apart from one another, because you can follow a trend all day.
Yeah,
but that trend
is dead.
It's eventually going to be gone.
Yeah, like, that drill shit is dead.
Like everybody's been doing it, and don't get me wrong, there are it's
don't get me
it's good.
It's a few artists that like
are good at it,
yeah,
and then there's few artists
that
are abusing it.
Am I going to listen to that 5 times in a row?
Exactly.
Fuck no.
It gets too much, and then it's just like, how versatile are you? Because and I think especially when you want to make it, you have to understand that you have to be able to do it all.
Exactly.
You can't just be able to do one thing, and I feel like that's what a lot of artists don't realize.
And you got to be able to do it on spot.
Mm-hmm.
Again, preparation is key. If Future call you up 5 a.m., yo, I need this verse by 10. What you gonna say? Nah, I need 2 weeks to write it. No, you gonna do that shit right then.
Mm-hmm.
So preparation is key along with that.
Yeah, and for you to just say that, I feel like there's a perfect example. If you look at Lil Durk and Drake, Lil Durk's feature on that, because some people would look at this and be like, he don't know what he's talking about. I'm sorry, but Lil Durk had how long? Less than a day to write whatever he had to write, and it was not even everything he wanted to. He still got on there, and now he went from. And don't get me wrong, Lil Durk is an amazing artist, but he was definitely not as big before that track.
Shout out
He
Dirk,
became
man. He just dropped too.
Exactly, and that, bro, his album was amazing. I love that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you listen to it yet? Or
I
nah,
didn't get a chance.
nah,
man.
definitely do. It's
Shout out
definitely
Dirk,
like
man.
that. But yeah, he wrote that shit. Drake put him on as a feature, and ever since then, he's become, I don't want to say mainstream, but he's been definitely getting more love, and
Yeah,
definitely is the love that he's deserved for a very long time.
Yeah, no.
Because I've listened to Dirk way before, like, he
course.
became mainstream.
Of course.
But people sometimes use mainstream as a negative word, but he's getting the love that he deserves.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But to continue on and just talk about you, right? Like, I feel like, so with these stories that you're telling, right? I feel like they touch home sometimes for you, and especially other people that are listening to it. Do you feel like that some of these songs touch home for yourself as well?
I mean, for me personally talking, yeah, I mean, to some degree, I gotta empathize with what I'm saying, otherwise it'd be a lie. But by the time that I'm ready to talk about it, I'm way past it,
Exactly.
which is why I'm able to vocalize it without any trigger or any emotion going into it. So I wouldn't say so. Got
you. Because I feel like that's what it comes down to. When you are in that moment, you're feeling those things in that moment, and then when it's all over, and by the time it gets posted, it's just like, I did it. I felt it at that moment. I can describe it, but it's not like as attached as I was when I said those words.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as an artist, I feel like a lot of artists I've spoken to, they have to find their style, right?
Yeah.
So how did you find your style of music?
Really just through trial and error. You see you see what works for your voice.
Mm-hmm.
You see what doesn't work for your voice. But the more time you put in, the more you're able to see that.
Yeah.
So if you go to the studio and you got to buy studio time, and it's $100 or $120 for, an hour, you only got 2. You know what I mean? You're not gonna really have time to really play around and see what works. So that's a way.
Mm-hmm.
But more so, just to get back, what was the question again? Sorry, I'm
not gonna lie to you, I forgot it too.
I'm screaming, dog. Nah, we bad. We definitely fried for that.
But
what'd you say?
I already pulled something from what you said already.
Yeah.
Right. So if anybody's watching the comments, I apologize, but I completely
niggas fried hard.
He said, I was just like, when you forgot, bro. Before you forgot, I was like,
what did I?
Damn, what I? So you were answering. I was like,
I'm crying. I mean, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
You just get lost in translation. Exactly. It's so good.
But anyways, so you said something about consistency, right?
Yeah.
How important is it to be consistent, even outside of being an artist?
What they say, be consistent and disciplined when your motivation isn't there. So I would say, like, you can't do something once a week and expect to be good at it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're training for a sport, you can't train 2 days a week and expect to just walk in the gym and just be, Bron, Jordan, or, you know what I mean, just one of these nice niggas. You got to put the time and got to put the work in. And I feel like, I put my 10,000 hours in 10,000 hours ago. So, you feel me? It just goes to show that, like, eventually you keep laying brick by brick. You'll get the skyscraper in the building, so it just takes time. And then along that way, you might think it's so hard, but you just appreciate the journey so much more.
Gotcha. And so you talk about music, you talk about how you got it from a young age, right?
Yeah.
Obviously when you first started, it probably wasn't as easy as it may be for you to be able to do it now because of growth and everything.
Of course.
So how are you able to balance life and music?
Separating yourself from the artist sometimes is a hard thing, but I've definitely had like an ego death where I realized it's like, this is his own world. This is his own world. You know what I mean? It's just a part of your life. It's not your whole life. You don't have to make it your whole life. I've seen people literally rinse out their whole lives just to prove something, or just you know what I mean? Try to be this person all the time, but it's like, bro, it's okay. You can decompress. You know what I mean? You could be a regular black man. You could just be somebody walking through the neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's just all about how you carry yourself and what you want out of this. If you let your ego take over constantly, then that'll just be that's your id, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, that'll just be who you are. But me personally, having reached success in such a short rate, after my second project, I feel like I was able to kind of like snap out of that narcissism, because I started to see how often, like, how much you could lose and how detrimental it is. So I'm glad I did it now before I really started touching like millions and millions. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So yeah.
So why is it so important to be selfless?
Why is it so important to be selfless? I would say it's important to be I wouldn't say, it's just certain people you could be selfless for.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you obviously can't be unconditional to everybody.
Of course.
For me personally, I'm conditional with everything at this point in my life, just because of the times,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm intentional about my energy
Okay.
and where it's being placed. If I see that you're wasting my time, I can't be selfless for you. You know what I mean? I can't throw myself over the blade for somebody that's not gonna do it for me. So I only keep niggas in my circle that's, if I hit you up at 3 a.m., yo, I need you to get my bail so I can get out of jail. I only keep them niggas type around me, because it make no sense for me to just be out here intentionally just doing shit for everybody else, and I'm not getting no return on investment.
Exactly.
So to me, I would say, to some people, like, it can be selfless, but for me, I'm more conditional at this point in my life.
Gotcha.
Just because people will take and take and take with no plans on first giving back or making sure that you good
Mm-hmm.
when taking it. You know what I mean? So that's just the times that we're living in, though. So
Then that's very valid, because
yeah, like,
there's a lot of
it's
people.
more like a self-preservation thing.
Exactly, and I feel like there's a lot of people that are only worried about themselves and no one else around them.
Definitely.
Right. So I know that when you say that it's conditional, it's not the fact that you don't want to be with like allowing these people to
Suffer.
have
Yeah.
exactly. You
Yeah.
want to be there for those people, but why would I be there for somebody that's not gonna be there for me? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And sometimes you have to learn in life that, and sometimes people learn too late, but there's a lot more people that would take advantage than actually help you.
Help you get to help
Exactly.
You. Yeah.
So
100%.
what advice would you give to somebody that may be going through something like that, where an individual they feel an individual is taking advantage of their kindness?
I mean, you just gotta set boundaries, and making sure that as a person you have strong boundaries, and you making sure that at the end of the day, if you're giving somebody something, make sure you don't need it back.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure that you ain't even checking for it. That's just why a lot of people end up like arguing with each other, like, because people expect that same thing back, but just don't expect nothing back from nobody, and don't give nobody anything that you don't have twice to give over.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially like money or certain things. You know what I mean? It just make no sense.
Okay.
So
I gotta say that with a lot of the things that you've been saying, it's been really genuine, right?
Oh, 100%.
It's been, and I feel like you pride yourself on that, right?
Authenticity.
Exactly.
That's
So
my brand.
why to you is it important to be authentic and genuine with people?
I feel like it's important to be authentic and genuine with people, just because that sets the tone for your relationship. And two, like I said, you don't have to worry about what's like going somewhere and worrying about somebody hurting you or anything like that. You have good grounded relationships that are based off of trust and mutual respect. So for me, personally, that's just the way I go about my relationships. I don't even want to entertain something if I feel it'll be tainted by money, or if I feel it'll be tainted by something, an asterisk other than what we're actually, you know what I mean? If it's a contractual rule, cool, that's business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I feel like it's important to be authentic and genuine with people, just because I feel like, one, I'm going to give you the same respect that you give me.
Mm-hmm.
And two, it just takes our relationship to the next level. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm able to build off of that.
Exactly. So I've had artists that have been doing this for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I've had artists that have been doing music for a long amount of time.
Yeah.
So for an individual like you who has been doing music for quite some time now, right? What is something that you've learned and something that you've gained knowledge of when it comes to music?
Something that I gained knowledge of when it comes to music, just the business aspect. Putting money into marketing, making sure all your I's and dots, all your T's and I's are crossed and dotted, and making sure that, your overall brand and look is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of people forget that music is only one part of this spectrum. You know what I mean? Like that's the organization of the orchestra is only one part of it, but there's an entirely other side to this game. So
Gotcha. So, what is it that inspires you to do what you do?
there's no like one specific thing for me. It's more so like a just a built-in role, I guess. I feel like this is a role I'm supposed to fulfill. God-given, you know what I mean, one of those roles, and I just feel like this is what everything that I've ever worked for. I'm able to touch a lot more people through my music as opposed to being one place at one time. And I feel like I have the heart and the will to want to change the direction of where music may be headed, but also still keeping it real with niggas, like still giving them records like Trap, still giving them records like 14 Racks or Bad, but also still being authentic and real, where I can give you a record like Survivor's Guilt, or I can give you a record like Gone, or I can give you a record like Kade Daju, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things, so yeah, that's why I feel like it is.
So before we get to the end, I know that we need to speak about your recent drop.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So, what was the inspiration for that album?
So after For What It's Worth drop, and I hit the radio in Philly, 14 Racks started going crazy. The numbers was running up on that. I was recording at this studio in Columbia Studios in Philly. I realized that I just had became somebody who was just so money hungry and driven by success that I feel like I had lost everything, which I talked briefly on earlier. I feel like my relationships were deteriorating, my mental health was deteriorating, and I ended up losing some special people in my life. But ultimately, it is what it is about the culmination of all those experiences, but at the same time, learning from those lessons and mistakes and being able to say, okay, making peace with what I did and saying, okay, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Chalking it up and charging it to the game and just realizing it's like, okay, you made that mistake, but you can give yourself grace and forgive yourself for who you were and transform and evolve into a better man, a better human being. And that's really where the ultimate inspiration came from for it is what it is. But I just felt like it was just one of those things that just came naturally. I didn't really put too much thought into it. I just was making the best records that felt genuine and I felt like they sonically were gravitating. I was just trying to put my best foot forward if I was going to tell a story like it is what it is. You know what I mean? So
I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but just from somebody who listened to it, right? And I've given you your props off camera and on camera. But it's just the fact that it does capture everything that you said. It captures the mental health aspect in dealing with it. It captures the making the mistakes and having to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing.
Grief. Yeah, like grief. I feel like was a big part of this project. Like, where did you go when I first began? Vocalizing, and I could even sing, and even touching the record. Like, where did you go? It's just one of those records where you could just, I was just drowned out in grief, and I just felt like I'm like, damn, like this is part of the process though. There's 5 stages to it, so this is just part of the process, and that's where those records came from.
Got you. So I actually want to dig a little bit deeper into the aspects that which made your album, right?
Let's go.
So when it comes to mental health, why is it so important to deal with mental health?
It is definitely important to deal with mental health for the simple fact that, we're all people and we all experience trauma, whether that be day to day or some point in our lives. So to sit there and act like it's non-existent would be ignorant. And especially because everybody is different. Mental health looks different on everybody. As we can see, people who have killed themselves and they look like they're the happiest person on earth, or they go and perform to an absurd amount and you would just never know that behind closed doors that they're suffering, you know. So it looks different on everyone else. Anxiety looks different on everyone else, you know. Schizophrenia looks different on everyone else, you know. These types of disorders and these types of things, in terms of mental health, they look different on everyone. So you have to be sensitive and just treat everyone like they have something, because you just never know. You know what I mean? So just treat them as if they did, and you won't have that issue.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's more of an inclusive thing, but also understanding that it is person specific and it looks different on everybody else.
So what advice would you give to somebody who wants to deal with their mental health or doesn't know how to? Because I know that that's a very hard question to answer, because there are so many different ways to deal with it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, for one, I feel like exercise is a great tool to utilize when it comes to mental health. You know, your endorphins, you release them endorphins after you get a good pump in, or after a runner's high, after you get a good run in. But sometimes it's as simple as going to the park and playing ball. You know what I mean? Making sure that you spending time with your community and those who really genuinely love you. You know, because that's where you're gonna get the most I would say satisfaction with those who care about the way you feel. You know what I mean? So other than sports, you know, taking time with your family, spending time with your friends, people who value you, to help you understand that, yo, life is a little bigger than, you know, sometimes what we have in our head. You know what I mean? You have people who love you, who believe in your dreams, and people who really want to see you succeed. So, you know, and it's a slap in the face to them by you sometimes you doing something ignorant, and, you know what I mean, not giving a fuck about how everybody else feels. And it's just like, yo, you got people who really want to see you succeed. So, you know, you gotta give them the respect. You know what I mean? And you know, I would just say look to your community. And definitely, me personally, I'm not a religious person, but having a relationship with God definitely changes, you know, the way you view life, because you have faith in something that you can't physically see. So definitely having a relationship with God will help it too.
Gotcha. Dang, what the fuck? I'm wilding.
It be like that sometimes.
But so to continue on with the other question that I had, how important is it to live in those mistakes that you made, right? Even that I'm not talking about the mistakes that you personally have made, but an individual who needs to start accepting those mistakes instead of ignoring them and thinking they're right all the time, or think that they're never wrong.
Well, the first thing is you got to be self-aware, right? You got to be able to look at something that you did and take accountability. That's the first step. If you can't, you got to recognize that there is a problem. You know what I mean? If you don't see the problem, then you'll never get to that next step. And me personally, I just feel like life is so heavy and we evolve and grow so much day by day that somebody you met 2 weeks ago, you feel like they don't even know you this week, because you're like, bitch, I'm a whole brand new person. You know what I mean? So part of that is understanding that you can evolve and become something other than what you have been, and understanding that, you know, you can transform whatever you into whatever you want. You know what I mean? And then ultimately forgiving yourself for your mistakes, like giving yourself grace and realizing that you didn't know. There's a keen difference between knowing and doing, especially when it comes to breaking cyclical patterns through mental health. You know what I mean? People do things certain times out of routine just because it's been routine. You know what I mean? Certain people are on autopilot. So that's just the way I look at it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we are getting close to the end, right? I do ask these questions to all my guests.
Yeah.
These are my ending questions. So I'm going to start off with the first one.
Bet.
What is it that wakes you up every morning and might even keep you up at night to be able to do what you do today?
I'm just not where I want to be yet. Like, I foresee so much for myself outside of music that it would just be disrespectful to my younger self to be like, nah, you know what I mean? We just throwing in a towel. Like, nah, like, you work so hard to get here, but there's still so much more life to live. So for me, it's just knowing that, you know, outside of music and outside of this, like, I just want to be a great man to the community, to whoever I come in contact with. So, and my dreams and aspirations for music are just as big as anything else. So, it's the passion for and love for music, but it's also knowing that there's other plans for me outside of music.
Gotcha. And I just started implementing this with my newer guests. I gotta stop saying that because I feel like I've said it to a few guests now, but it's definitely my newer guests because I didn't say this in the past. I feel like a lot of people, what people ask is, what would you tell, or what is some advice you would give your younger self, right?
Yeah.
But I actually want to do the opposite because your younger self has evolved and become who you are today, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know what that future self looks like.
That ass.
So what advice or what message would you give to your future self?
I would just go by the same advice that I've been going by, which is I just never let my past affect my future. Like no matter what I've been through, or no matter what's hurt me, just don't let that affect what God has set in stone for me, because you can get in the way of your own self. But mainly just keep going. I feel like the moment you stop it's all for nothing. You know what I mean? And you're closer to where you want to be than where you started.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's all the motivation that you need.
Gotcha. So before I ask this question, there is something that I feel like I didn't get to touch on that I would have liked to touch on. So I don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So you've had a lot of proud moments. You've had you're going to have the platinum record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to have the platinum record. You've also worked in Germany.
Yeah.
You've also been one of 3. I know I mentioned all of this before, but you've also been one of 3 individuals who were on a Philly radio station from New Jersey.
Yeah.
What are these moments like to you?
I mean, me personally, I probably should take them a little more seriously, but I feel like this shit that is supposed to come with it. When you do what we do at such a high and efficient level, every project, this is shit that just supposed to come with it. And it may come off a little arrogant, but at the same time, I'm like, there's so many other bigger things that I'm looking at. So maybe that's why I look at some of these accomplishments as small, but it's not coming from an arrogant place. It's just coming from an optimistic place that I'm looking at like, bitch, I want Grammys. I want to be nominated for, to be a writer. I want to be, I want to work with everyone. You know what I mean? So these minor things of like being on the radio or getting recognition from like Drewski or Boy Wonder or, having cosigns from DJ VIP. These types of things, like, I just don't, to me, they're great accomplishments, and they may be good for somebody who is content with their level, but I'm not content. I'm still eating at a high level and a high rate right now. So I take them with a grain of salt, but I also do appreciate the love, the respect, the recognition, and more importantly, the time that people even take out of their day to listen or stream my music, to type my name in. It's, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that you got people typing your name in says it all, you know what I mean? So when I look on Apple Music and I get the streams at the end of the week, I'm like, look, this was a good week, but we could be doing more. You know what I mean? So I look at these things with a grain of salt, but ultimately I'm definitely appreciative. I'm definitely cognizant of all these things that have gone on, and I appreciate them for what they are, but ultimately there's more in store. And at the rate that I myself am headed, and the way that my team is set up, there's so much more success even outside of music that we headed for, that I just look at these things and I go, like, that was good, but let's keep working.
And I also want to say that I agree that it's not arrogant at all to think the way that you do. It's the fact that you're a hustler, and I feel like a lot of hustlers, I say that there's a lot of guys that I've had where it's just like they don't want to be complacent, where there's room to grow all the time. So why stop growing?
Yeah, no. Once you stagnate, you kind of kill everything that you ever worked for, and it's disrespectful to the people that believe in you, ultimately.
Got you. Last but not least, this is the last question of the pod. What do you want the world to know about Jon Crawford?
Damn, that's a good question. Me personally, you know, I would like people to think that, you know, I'm a talented, versatile artist who beat the odds and statistics of the system, you know, who has came a very long way, who is very multifaceted and layered and eclectic and complex, just as anyone else is. But I also want people to understand that, you know, you can walk in superstardom and you can walk in this light, but also still be a good person.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to sacrifice either or. You know what I mean? Because for so long, I felt like I had to just split up my life of between my relationships and, you know, looking at the way the music industry is, and I'm like, yo, like there's temptation all around, but like you can be a good man and you could be an awesome star as well. So, you know, that's what I would want everybody to understand and learn about me, and know that, you know, whatever my future career looks like, I'm blessed and thankful to have made an impact or made some type of staple in this game in terms of Jersey and Jersey music. And I love everybody who I come in contact with in terms of like the way we work, and, you know, everybody who supports what we're doing. And I'm just grateful and thankful to just be in this position.
Okay. So the podcast now is over, right? But the camera is not all yours. If there's anything that you got going on, anything that you want to say, any advice you want to give, this is your opportunity.
You can follow all my social media, JNCRWFD, and that's IG and Twitter. So if you want to see me be chaotic, you can see the tweets. You know, I do a lot of traveling, a lot of vlogging, those types of things. That's also my TikTok. I got an album coming out, Forever Yours. I don't want to give a date too soon because it could be summer, it could be fallish. But Forever Yours is definitely coming to a DSP near you. And I just want everybody to understand and know that, you know, no matter wherever you are, whatever your circumstances are, just keep going, just keep following your dreams. Make sure that you're taking actionable steps towards your dream, and make sure that you continuously disciplining yourself to reach whatever goal that it is. And I'm thankful for you having me here, bro. Thank you.
I like I said in the
Community
beginning,
pod.
I appreciate you. And like I said, the pleasure's all mine. I couldn't have done this without you. What makes up a community is amazing people like yourselves and the people that watch, because I could not do this without an individual who could sit here and tell their story and go in depth about it. I can't sit here without an individual who's being and truly pursuing what they're doing. I could also not do it without the amazing people that watch all the time, who are able to show love and constantly show love, even outside of the YouTube and everything like that. I couldn't build a community without the community. So thank you again.
People need people.
Exactly. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and do my
bro.
outro. This is the Community Pod. I just want to say I appreciate for everyone who's able to watch and listen to the entire thing. If you're watching on YouTube, please comment. Let me know what your favorite part was. Leave a like, put on post notifications so you can see all the future videos. If you're watching on any audio platform, please leave a review. It allows other people to find my podcast, and which is, I don't think you understand how much. Let me say that one more time. Please leave a review. It allows my podcast to get found by other amazing people out there. If you are new here, welcome to the Community Pod. And last but not least, if you have been here watching all the episodes, or have watched a few, or are trying to get a grasp of what's going on here, I'm building a community of amazing people, and I am glad for you to still be here and be along with it. So thank you so much. This is the Community Pod, and we are out. Peace.